The previous time I worked on a Renobug project, rain and cold weather stopped play and I couldn't finish my painting. Well, look at this, all glossy and shiny. Not my normal style, is it? I've had some sunny weather since then, so I could get 2 coats of this black paint on here. So now we can start assembling this thing slowly but surely, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually work on a new bushing for the shift rod while we're still open and accessible as much as possible, and then also shorten my shift rod because I shortened my floor pan. If you are new here in the shop, I shortened the Beetle floor pan to suit the wheelbase of this 1959 Renault 4CV body. And I'm planning to stick the Beetle running gear underneath this. We call the project the Renobug, and I'm building this little car for she who must be obeyed, aka my darling little wife. Look how shiny. I mean, what is going on here? Hey, but I do think all this shine is going to make the wifey very happy. I mean, they always like shiny stuff, don't they? There's a plastic bushing that's supposed to sit right here. Well, it's missing. The only thing left is this retaining ring. And typically the stock ones don't stay in place very long. And if that bushing is missing, then you typically have like very sloppy gear changing, if I can put it like that. So yes, even if you put a stock one in, I've seen that a couple of months later it's slipped out of that ring inside the panel that holds it in place. So I'm going to try and make my own one, and hopefully it's an improvement on the original. So I found this piece of plastic here in one of my bins. The OD is good enough, it's big enough. I'm not sure what it is though. I think it's probably Delrin, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to see if I can make a bush out of this material, and let's see how it's going to turn out. So let's chuck it up into the lathe here and see what we can do. Let's start by squaring off this end and facing it. Okay, that's good enough. I'm going to drill a hole now. Let's start with a center drill. Ah, that looks good. Now we can chuck up a drill bit. The biggest drill bit I have here is 16 millimeters. And we need a hole in there of around 22 mil. But let's start with drilling a 16 millimeter hole. I wonder if that's deep enough. I'm just going to check it here quickly. That's 40. And we go in until 65, so that's 25 millimeters, about an inch. I think I'm going to give it a little bit more. Let's just reconfirm my start is at about 40 millimeters, yes. Right, that'll do. Yes, I've got a rather sorry looking boring bar here that I found amongst my bits, my tool bits. But yeah, it'll work for the soft material, I'm sure. My apologies to all you professional machinists out there. Let's see. Right, That should do it. Let's see how it goes. Well, that's good enough for me. Doesn't look too bad. I must just make sure that it's on size. Where is my vernier? Let's see, what have I got to? Yeah, got 18.5, so I've got some distance to go. Yes, I'm sure my speed is wrong, but what do I know about these things? As it is, it works well enough for me. Let's go. Right, let's measure. Hopefully I didn't cut too much. One final cut of about 0.5 millimeter, and then we're there. Right, so hopefully this is the final cut and it's just right. The moment of truth, let's see. We've got 22. Yeah, maybe 22,1. So just looking here through my motley collection of rusty old high-speed steel tool bits, I think this one will work for what I want to do next. I want to cut a little groove or slot in my bushing. I think this one will work just fine. It's a little bit like a parting tool. So the outside diameter of this plastic piece of whatever it is measures 32 millimeters. Now I've measured the ID of that round hole on that bracket inside the tunnel, and that's 26 millimeters. So I'm going to cut a groove in here now, and the groove, or the OD on that inside of the groove, must be 26 millimeters as well then. I've got my little tool bit in the tool post. Let's cut the groove. I'm about 8 millimeters away from the end here. Let's go. Maybe I should measure first. Seems to be cutting okay. The width is acceptable of that bit. It's gonna work for me. Right. Let's check. What have I got? 28. Okay. I think that'll do it. I'm happy with the depth of my groove. I'm going to use the same bit as a parting tool quickly. Now I gotta find this thing down in the depths of my lathe. I stick my hand in there, it is. Right, the moment of truth. Let's see if my bushing will fit the shift rod. Perfect. Not too loose, not too tight, Just right. Let me see if I can show you that bracket that sits here on the inside of the tunnel that holds the bushing. So I'm taking a look here through the hole where the gear shift lever bolts on, and if I shine a light in there, yes, there you can see that round hole in the bracket into which the bushing must fit, through which the shift rod goes. So now how am I going to get this bushing to go through that hole? I mean, the diameter here and here is larger than the hole. The diameter there in the slot is the same as that of the hole, hopefully. So I think what I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm going to cut it here on one side, and then I can try and squeeze it so that the diameter reduces, and then pop it through, and then it will spring open again and hopefully stay in place. Let's see how that's going to work out. Let's split it here with the good old hacksaw and see what we get. I probably need another cut to make a little bit more of a gap. Trying to cut carefully so that my slot is nice and parallel. You see, now if I squeeze it, the diameter will reduce. I'm not sure that's enough. Let's see, the diameter of that hole is 26 millimeters. If I squeeze this, I've got 27.5. So no, not enough yet. I need to widen my slot a little bit more. Let's see what we get now. Yeah, that might work. I think I'm going to go try it. And then it need be fine-tuned it a little bit more. Yeah, difficult to show you in here, eh? One tiny hole, thick fingers, a bushing and your eyes. Not much space, but I shine my light in there and look, it's popped right into place, locating on that slot or groove that I cut on the lathe, and it's feeling very well. Yeah, you can't see, but it's locating nicely. I don't think it's going to pop out at all. My plan's going to work well, man. Alright, let's see if this is going to work. I've got my light shining in there. Now I'm going to maneuver my shift rod in from the front, and you should see it through the hole shortly. Just got to aim. There we go. Now it should just slide through, and it does. A little bit of lubrication. Yes, man. My happy chappy. So before I can install my shift rod, I still need to shorten it. This is the piece that I cut out of the floor pan when I shortened that. I'll stick a link here on the screen if you want to go check that out. 210 millimeters plus the cuts. So that's how much I need to cut out of the shift rod to shorten it. So I'm going to cut it here and here, weld it back together again, and then we can stick it in place. So I mark it with some tape to be the same as the piece I removed from the floor pan. Got some little arrows so that the old man doesn't cut it on the wrong side of the tape. Choppy choppy, slice and dice. Yeah, so to join it up nicely, I would like to stick a little sleevey piece in there. So I scratched here through my collection of roundy, pipey pieces, but I couldn't find quite the piece with the right dimensions. But I did find a piece of pipe with an outside diameter a little bit more than what I was looking for. So I just cut it and squeezed it and maneuvered it to make it a little bit smaller. So that piece now fits tightly into my shift rod on the inside. And now this one can slip over there. I can just tap that into place. Yes. Now it's perfectly lined up and I can just weld it.
A few inches later.
Okay, lekker man. I got it welded and sanded. You can hardly see where the joint is. There's an important thing I forgot to mention. Draw yourself a reference line before you cut the shift rod, because as you can see it's not straight, and there's also a specific orientation between that piece where the gear shift goes in and the hole here in the back. So yeah, we want to ensure that it goes back together again the way it was. If it doesn't, you're going to have problems. So let's go and install it. So to get it into place, you go through this hole here in the front of the pan. I've got my shift rod covered in a layer of grease, and now you aim for that bush that we've just made. Takes a bit of careful juggling, and I just feel it going. Right. Okay, and then by the time you've maneuvered it to where it must be, you've managed to put most of that grease on your hands. So here is the back end of my shift rod. I haven't got a gearbox to connect it to yet, because we still need to install that. I do have some new, fresh, greasy fingerprints on my new, fresh paint job though. But no more play in my bushing here, obviously, because I've got a nice new one. And it's working very well. Yeah, so this is just customizing of, boring customizing of components you can't even see. It's nothing that you'll ever see on the heavyweight channels, where it's all about sensational stuff like chopping off a roof, or spraying a coat of candy apple red, or popping in a 1,000 horsepower motor or engine. But yeah, maybe someone finds value in this, and that's why I share it. If one guy can learn something from this, I'm happy. I installed my gear lever, or shift stick, or gear shift, or whatever you call it where you are. I haven't painted it yet, because I think I need to bend it and possibly even shorten it down the line, so we will still see. But it's feeling really good. So I'm happy I made a new bushing for in there. This is just great. Well, I can't test it for final yet because we're still missing a gearbox or a transaxle. And I would need a muscle to help me with that. I don't want to scratch my shiny new paint just yet. But at least we got that shift rod shortened, and I've got a new bush made that's working out very well. So I call that a win. So yes, until the barefoot mechanic or an unsuspecting muscle comes around to help me get that transaxle in place, I'm going to say thank you so much for hanging out with me. Enjoyed your company. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a lekker one, my brothers.
Whatever makes you happy, it just depends on you. So think a little bigger and